All right, let's dive right into the explainer. Today, we're unpacking the wild, frankly cinematic story of John Dillinger, a man whose meteoric rise and dramatic fall completely captivated a struggling nation. We'll be exploring how his carefully orchestrated crimes, daring escapes, and ultimate betrayal made him a legendary figure in American history. So, how exactly does a seemingly normal kid from a small town in Indiana end up as the ultimate target of the FBI's very first war on crime? I mean, he definitely wasn't born a criminal mastermind. To figure out how this happened, we really have to examine the environment that shaped him and the severe justice system that ultimately forged his path. Part 1. The Making of an Outlaw. Now, to get the full picture, we really have to look at the harsh realities of the 1930s. We're talking post-1929 stock market crash, total economic turmoil. Banks and factories are closing, and the life savings of everyday Americans are completely wiped out. So in the middle of the Great Depression, you've got a deeply frustrated public. To them, outlaws who struck back at these failing institutions didn't look like villains. They kind of looked like modern-day Robin Hoods. And Dillinger himself? Well, his true turning point started early. Back in 1924, when he was just 21, he and a buddy botched a local grocery store robbery for $50. Literally $50. He confessed, asked for leniency, and what did he get? A staggering 10 to 20-year sentence in the Indiana State Penitentiary. It's wild. As he later wrote to his dad in 1933, that extreme punishment entirely transformed him. He said he went in a carefree boy and came out completely bitter. So instead of rehabilitation, prison essentially became his criminal university. Inside, he's rubbing shoulders with seasoned bank robbers, and crucially, he meets a guy named Walter Dietrich, who teaches him the highly systematic Lamb method of robbing banks. By the time Dillinger is finally paroled in May 1933, after 9 long years inside, he is absolutely not looking for a normal job. He is determined to become a professional, highly efficient bank robber. Part 2. Military-style heists. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill stick-up. Dillinger's crew ran these highly choreographed, military-style operations that just completely stunned local police. They executed that Lamb method to perfection. Step 1, meticulous casing. Sometimes they'd even disguise themselves as government officials just to scout the vault layouts without raising suspicion. Step 2, assigning strict, unchangeable roles. You had your lobby man controlling the crowd and your vault man grabbing the cash. And step 3, rehearsing exact getaway routes, which they called gets, literally mapping them down to the 10th of a mile and even hiding stash cans of gasoline along the way. Total precision. And when you look at the matchups, it's really no wonder they operated with such impunity. It was a total mismatch. The Dillinger Gang was rocking fully automatic Thompson submachine guns and wearing bulletproof vests. Meanwhile, your average local cop, standard issue revolvers and zero armor. Plus, when it was time to escape, the gang used stolen, incredibly powerful V8 Ford coupes. They literally just left those slower, heavier police cruisers in the dust. If we track this on a timeline, their 1933 and 1934 crime spree was just breakneck chaos. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars stolen across Ohio, Indiana, and Wisconsin. But, as the robberies piled up, the violence escalated. It hit a breaking point in January 1934 during the East Chicago robbery, where police officer William O'Malley was shot and killed. Suddenly, that whole harmless Robin Hood myth? Yeah, that faded really fast into a brutal reality of gunfire and casualties. Part 3. Escaping Crown Point. Now, here is the defining moment of the Dillinger legend. He gets captured to face trial for Officer O'Malley's murder, and they lock him up in the supposedly escape-proof Crown Point jail in Indiana. We've all heard the cinematic myth, right? That he carved a fake gun out of a wooden washboard, slapped some shoe polish on it, and bluffed his way out. Well, the historical fact is much darker and, frankly, a lot more corrupt. He didn't use a wooden gun. He used a real gun, smuggled right inside. And that real weapon definitely didn't just appear out of thin air. It was secured with a massive $3,500 bribe. Dillinger's own attorney, Louis Piquette, actually orchestrated this payoff to high-ranking Lake County officials, literally in a saloon just down the street from the jailhouse. Talk about a humiliating day for local law enforcement. Adding total insult to injury, Dillinger locks up his guards, strolls out, and steals the local sheriff's personal Ford V8 to make his getaway.
He heads across state lines into Chicago to reunite with his girlfriend Billie Frechette, and eventually switches over to a black Essex Terraplane she bought. But here's the thing, driving a stolen car across state lines? Huge mistake. That officially made it a federal offense, drawing the full weight of the U.S. government right onto his back.
Part 4. The Tightening Noose.
So, following that incredibly brazen escape, the FBI, led by J. Edgar Hoover, officially steps in. And the stakes skyrocket. Hoover slaps Dillinger with the title of America's very first public enemy #1. And to sweeten the pot, he places a massive $10,000 reward on his head, plus another $5,000 just for information. Think about that. In the depths of the Great Depression, $10,000 was a life-changing fortune. It essentially turned every single person Dillinger crossed paths with into a potential informant.
The desperation to catch him reached a total fever pitch by April 1934. The FBI gets a tip from the owners and attempts a surprise nighttime raid at the Little Bohemia Lodge in Wisconsin. But you guys, it was a complete disaster. Barking dogs alert the gang. In the absolute chaos of the night, federal agents mistakenly open fire on 3 innocent civilian workers leaving in a car, tragically killing one. And meanwhile, Dillinger and his entire gang just slip right out the back and vanish into the woods, totally unharmed. It was a highly public humiliation for the FBI.
Part 5. Betrayal at the Biograph.
Ultimately, it wasn't some brilliant piece of detective work that brought the legendary outlaw down. It was a desperate betrayal from within his own inner circle. Enter Ana Cumpănaș, better known as Anna Sage. She was a Romanian immigrant who ran a string of brothels in Chicago, and she'd woven herself into Dillinger's social orbit. Facing deportation as an alien of low moral character, she saw a lifeline. So she strikes a deal with FBI agent Melvin Purvis. She'll hand over America's most wanted man in exchange for the reward money and residency. The trap is set for the night of July 22, 1934. Dillinger, his girlfriend Polly, and Anna Sage head to the Biograph Theater to catch a gangster flick. Now, history and Hollywood love the whole woman in red legend, right? The idea that Sage wore red as a glaring signal to the feds. But fact check, she was actually wearing an orange dress that night. It just happened to look red under the neon glow of the theater's marquee lights. As the movie ends and they exit the theater, the FBI moves in. Dillinger spots them, darts toward an alley, but federal agents instantly gun him down. And just like that, the reign of public enemy #1 is over. But what about Anna Sage? Well, the FBI conveniently failed to fully honor their deal. She only got half the reward money, $5,000, and the government basically shrugged and said they couldn't stop the bureaucracy. She was deported back to Romania 2 years later in 1936. Which leaves us with a really fascinating final thought to wrap up this explainer. When you trace it all back, from that insanely harsh initial prison sentence that radicalized him, to the intense newspaper coverage, and the FBI's totally sensationalized manhunt, you really have to wonder, did the American justice system itself inadvertently create the legendary anti-hero of John Dillinger? It's a massive question, and it makes his story so much more complex than just a simple game of cops and robbers.